be?
Like, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the #1 electrical fire is from use of extension cords.
I'm going to back that up and say yes. I
Because
don't
what people
have
will
the data.
do in an older home is they'll plug in an extension cord because they're cold. It's an older home, it leaks. It's a freezing day outside, and they bring in that heater and they turn it on high and put it right near the bed to keep everyone toasty warm. That is the most foolish thing anyone can do. If you read the tag on the heater, it says that cord must be plugged directly into the receptacle, not into an extension cord.
I'll give you one better. It also says it needs to be a dedicated circuit. That's my #1 call for October and November. In those months, I get call after call of receptacles that just mysteriously stop working. And the reason they stopped working is that the wire somewhere along that circuit has actually fried. And why did it fry? Because it was such a heavy load that you were plugging into that circuit. It requires a dedicated circuit. Read the manual, which no one does.
I'm going to help a lot of people out here. You ever had an extension cord that, for whatever reason, looked curled like Frank's hair right now?
Hey,
But when you bought the extension cord, it was straight, but all of a sudden it's curled. That's because it's been under a heavy load, correct?
100% correct.
And or a surge,
Yes,
but mainly it's been under a heavy load.
yes. I'm actually surprised that you knew that.
Well,
You
I'm
surprised
a
me.
contractor.
Yeah, well,
I have a lot of extension
Yeah.
cords.
Oh.
I'll pick up my cords and go, why is this curled? What the hell
But
was
then again,
this put under?
You also purchased probably a 16 gauge cord, where the heavy duty ones are 14 gauge.
Or 12, which
Or
I have
12.
12 gauge, by the way.
And then those don't curl.
Why? Because it's a bigger gauge line. It can
Right.
handle it. So little things that we need to know is that, I mean, how many times have I seen this? And especially when I was younger, my mom would say, Mike, you got to go buy some more fuses, right? Because the 15 amp fuse blew in the electrical panel. Now everyone should be on breakers, but even that still needs to be inspected because, again, it's got a shelf life. Don't ever take out, if you still have fuses, and I know there's still people out there that have
There are.
fuses, don't take out a 15 amp and put in a 20 amp or a 25 amp or a 30 amp. Don't do that. Why?
I've said it a million times. Like, imagine that the breaker, the fuse, sorry, we're talking a fuse is set for 20 amps, where the wire is a 14 gauge wire that's good for 15 amps. Now we want to make sure that 80% of the load is normal use. So it's actually only good for 12 amps. But here we are, we're going to draw 15 amps every once in a while. Okay, it'll hold. But if we have a circuit where we've got that little portable heater plugged in, and for argument's sake, I don't know, your TV along with your computers actually draw quite a bit. The older, maybe not a laptop, but the older desktops. And as you're using all this, if the circuit starts to pull more than 15 amps, the wire starts to get hot. Then the fuse turns around and says, hey, I'm good for 20 amps. Meanwhile, the wire is still getting hot. So what's going to burn first, the 20 amp fuse or the wire that's only good for 15?
The wire.
Once that blows, where in the wall do you think that it blew?
Which
Because your
usually-
guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, but and they're lucky that it didn't cause a fire because
Well, it
think
may.
about that wire heating up.
But it may. That's the trick. A lot of people take a chance and say, a wire blew and it's okay. No, it's not okay. We need to find where that blew, because if it is behind that wall, the power's still live going to it. It is an electrical fire waiting to happen. So,
Or can be.
okay.
The reason people will pull out a 15 amp fuse and put in a 20 amp fuse as an example is because that fuse keeps blowing. And there's a reason that fuse keeps blowing, and that's what everyone is missing.
Yes.
There's a reason. So don't up it, because it will, by upping it from a 15 amp to a 20, which I'm going to go into further detail in a second. If you were to do that, you are creating a possible fire hazard for your home. So if a fuse is blowing, you got to call in a licensed electrical contractor that can bring in an electrician to solve the problem. Don't create one, is what I'm trying to say. I'm going to tell you an honest little story that happened to me Oh my goodness, I'm getting older now. This would probably be almost 30 years ago.
Before I knew you, huh?
Yes.
Thank God. Okay, so
Yes.
what'd you do?
So almost 30 years ago, I rewired a whole house, right? I didn't do it with a permit. I'm just being honest.
I'm shaking my
Back
head.
then, a lot of contractors didn't do it with permits. But I mean, I knew electrical because my dad taught me. I knew electrical because I've been hands-on experience since I was a little boy. I rewired the whole house. Someone, I assume, phoned the permit office. Electrical inspector knocked on the front door, and I was there. So when I answered the door, he just said, "Hi, what's your name?" I told him my name. I said, "What's your name?" He gave me his card. He says, "I understand you're doing electrical in the house." And I said, "Yeah, I'm doing the whole house." And he said, "Well, you didn't pull a permit, and I'm going to go through this entire house with a fine-tooth comb. And if you've done anything wrong, Mr. Holmes, you're going to be in trouble." And at the time, there was no fines. This was just a point that I could be in trouble, that I guess I could have a bad name for playing with electrical at someone's house, and to watch out. Hey, I know better. But at the time, the homeowner didn't want to get a permit. I mean, I didn't push it at the time. The inspector went through the entire house. And he said to me, he said, "This is some of the neatest work I have ever seen. Why aren't you a licensed electrician?" I said, "I'm a general contractor. I can do plumbing, I can do electrical, I can build the house, I can design the house. Do I have to become a licensed electrical at the time, do I have to become an electrician?" Because it wasn't licensed electrical contractor. And he said, "To be honest, no, but you need to pull a permit." I pulled the permit, everything passed, and in the long run, grew a great relationship with the system of what I need to do. So I'm not saying, that's the way it was back then. Really, most people didn't pull permits.
Well,
Since television of 20 years, I think permit has gone through the roof, from building, plumbing, HVAC to electrical. There's so much that everyone has recognized, hey, if I'm going to do work in my home, we need to pull a permit. I'm still seeing people not pull permits. Like you're on one of the jobs right now that we're doing that the contractor stole, as far as I'm concerned, $20,000 from the homeowner, played with the electrical, gutted the place, left all the debris, and walked out the door. Took every penny they had. He was supposed to do the whole job: basement, bathroom, kitchen, bathroom upstairs. That's 2 bathrooms, a kitchen, and a basement for $20,000. Does that sound right to you? Not a chance in hell is that ever going to happen. Okay, so there was my honest moment for the day, but I did the job right. I got the permits, and from that day forward, I never touched anything again without getting a permit. Because it's simple. I'm the guy that wants to do things right. I'm the guy that wants to educate everyone out there to do it right. It became known to me that the more you document what you do, the better purpose for you, me, and when I say you, resale of the home.
correct.